From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, bandits kill 15 soldiers, burn patrol van in KEBBI State as House of Representatives call for establishment of military base. Senate throws out President Muhammadu Buhari's electoral bill. Police arrest suspected killer of Air Vice Marshal Umar Maitsaka, recover 18 AK-47 rifles from bandits. And on the foreign scene, Ukraine accuses Russia of striking a children's hospital and maternity ward in besieged Mariupol. Hello and welcome to the News Hour. I am ABUBAKAR. Thank you for joining. The details now. Barely 24 hours after armed bandits killed at least 65 local vigilantes in Sakaba villages and abducted an undisclosed number of civilians, including a monarch of Ikara village, 15 soldiers have been reportedly killed in a fresh attack on KEBBI community. Reports say that the fresh attack occurred in the early hours of Wednesday at Kenya village on the Danko and Wasagu local government area of KEBBI State. According to reports, the armed bandits also burnt their vehicles during the fresh attack, also abducted scores of villagers in villages close to Kenya. The House of Representatives want establishment of military bases in some parts of KEBBI State to curb incessant attacks by bandits, citing the latest security breach during which many local volunteers were killed. The issue raised by Representative Tanko Sununu as a matter of urgent public importance brought to the fore incidents in the last couple of months where bandits attack helpless communities to kill, kidnap, and rustle cattle. The report.
The attacks in some part of KEBBI State, according to the lawmaker, have led to humanitarian crisis and untold hardship in the southern senatorial district. The House is worried that the current attack has left many families in disarray and economic activities grounded. The House therefore urged for deployment of more troops and equipment to eliminate the criminals and also provide relief materials to those affected by the attacks.
Concerned that if no urgent remedial and deterrent action is taken to arrest the insensate attack in KEBBI South, it has the capacity to make the area ungovernable, worsen the level of poverty as many social services are already affected, increase the level of illiteracy of the areas due to poor school attendance and disorganized academic calendar.
Meanwhile, the minority leader Ndudi Elumelu raised a motion of a 22-year-old young girl, Oluwabamiche Ayomola, recently murdered in cold blood in Lagos State. The lawmaker is worried that many of the incessant attacks are underreported in view of the stigma attached to such incidents and molestation when such reports are made.
Further aware that Oluwabamiche was last seen on 26th of February 2022 after boarding a BRT bus number 240257 at about 7 p.m. around Chevron bus stop. The stop that there are allegations that the BRT driver earlier confessed of having carnal knowledge of late Miss Bamiche before killing her and harvesting some of her vital organs, only for the story to change after some influential Nigerians perceived to have intervened on his behalf.
The House therefore resolved to urge the federal government through the Nigerian Police and National Security and Intelligence to fast-track investigation and ensure the killers of Oluwabamiche Ayomola are brought to justice.
And on political matters, stakeholders in Nigeria's democratic process say that for the newly signed electoral law to make meaningful impact, efforts must be made to strengthen institutions, devise punitive measures, and ensure attitudinal change amongst Nigerians. The respondents, while speaking to Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman, say that though reforming electoral law is a step further in sanitizing the nation's electoral and democratic process, there is need to consolidate on the feet. The report.
President Muhammadu Buhari has recently appended his signature on the much-debated Electoral Act Amendment Bill as reworked by the National Assembly. Part of the objectives of the amended law is to engender transparency and accountability in the nation's electoral process. discourage human interference through electronic transmission, as well as open the electoral space for more participation amongst others.
It's a plus. Kudos to the Mr. President. Kudos to the National Assembly. Kudos to Nigeria that we have a reformed electoral law in place. But the big question is that, would the electoral law change our attitude? It's still a big question. Unless our attitude is changed, I'm not sure electoral law alone can work miracles.
Because a law is as good as its enforcement. If it's not enforced, it's not even worth the paper that it's written on. So this bill is not an exception. Mr. President must go a step further by ensuring that the security agencies do their work, before the elections, during the elections, and after the elections.
Then once you have somebody that seemingly meets some expectation, develop some social contract, because that is what the Constitution even says. That political office and citizens have what they call the social charter, and that social charter must actually include and indicate some expectations, which the political office must sign off. Then you use that as an instrument for engagement. Then once the person gets to the office, then you can use that to begin to demand some level of accountability, demand some kind of infrastructure.
The respondents say, though reforming the electoral law to address existential and contemporary loopholes is imperative, realizing the objective of free, fair and credible election requires much more than sound legal framework.
One will be the political parties, two will be the electorate, and three will be INEC. And security institutions also have a very big role to play. In previous elections, they have been used very massively for rigging, for distortion, for manipulation. We need to get security agencies also to understand that yes, they are neutral in the entire processes, but they also have a role to ensure that credibilities are also recorded at every stance in the entire value chain.
We should not exonerate ourselves that politicians are the ones that are bad. Some of us are their advisors as professors. What are we advising them? Everybody just advising for his pocket. The businessmen, they also are in the economy. Even the religious leader. What are we preaching in the churches and mosques? Is it not? Whom are we praying for? We've monetized prayers. You pray for those who have money.
The person giving and the person receiving, all of them are guilty, of the same offense. So if in any situation people are brought, before the court that you receive this amount of money, it's a criminal offense. You gave this amount of money, it's a criminal offense, and they are dealt with in accordance with the law. I'm sure people will be discouraged.
Attitudinal change amongst Nigerians, the political actors, the electoral umpire and security agencies towards achieving credible electoral process, they say, is critical to meeting the desired objective. Shapir Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Staying with electoral matters, Senate on Wednesday rejected President Muhammadu Buhari's request to amend the Section 84(12) of the Electoral Act 2022 as senators voted overwhelmingly to stop further amendments. A federal high court had restrained the National Assembly from further amendment to the Act after it's been signed to law. Section 84 of the Electoral Amendment Act forbids political appointees from voting as delegate or aspirants during political party convention or congresses. The report.
The restriction by the court to allow for further amendments of the Electoral Act is seen by analysts as true demonstration of the principle of separation of powers. The judiciary, they say, works independent of the executive and the legislature. A cross-section of senators emphasized the need to respect the court order, while the Senate President Ahmed Lawa told the lawmakers that they are not committing any wrongdoing if they go ahead with the amendment.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, there are certain things that we see which we think we don't even have to come here to debate. One of those things is the fact that in every democracy all over the world, there are certain rules which we don't need to be told about. And one of those rules is the fact that you cannot be a referee and a player in the same field. It's either you're a referee or you're a player.
Yesterday, this point of order was raised, and you ruled that we should go ahead and treat this amendment. Mr. President, already the parties involved have decided to go for appeal. I'm of the opinion, Mr. President, the right thing to do is to allow the appeal to go so that the court order can be set aside. Then we can come in and treat this bill. Doing so, obviously, will mean that we are...
And this very historic debate. Mr. President, one of the hallmarks of democracy is justice, fairness, and equity. And indeed, Mr. President, it's a settled matter in law that you cannot be a judge over your own case. In any election, Mr. President, where people have the added advantage of holding executive power, either by proxy or directly, either by appointment, and for such people to have access to compete with others who came from the streets, I think it's an unjust society. Therefore, Mr. President, I disagree with all the arguments emanating from your table on the need to reconsider a decision that already been settled.
After deliberations on the bill presented on the floor by the Senate leader Yahya Abdullahi, the Senate President put the amendment to voice vote, during which the news had it.
The fact that the court said the National Assembly should not tamper with law, the Electoral Act 2022, as amended, except through due process, does not mean that the National Assembly cannot consider the bill. So I think we are not breaching any law. In fact, we are trying to promote democracy by doing this. Because to do otherwise, one day someone will go to court and say that the Senate or the National Assembly should not sit. So I want to please appeal to all of us that we are on the right course, and my ruling remains that we are going ahead to consider the proposal, the request, which the leader of the Senate is leading the debate.
President Muhammadu Buhari had, in a letter sent to the National Assembly on the 1st of March 2022, requested for a re-amendment of Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act to permit political appointees contest for elective positions without resigning their appointments. The clause under contention also states that no political appointee shall be a voting delegate or be voted for at the convention or congress of any political party.
Staying with political matters, Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, the CECPC of the All Progressives Congress, has on Wednesday approved the recommendations of its Committee on Zoning. A statement signed by the party's Director of Publicity, Salisu Naina Dambata, said the north-central part of the country is to produce National Chairman, National Vice Chairman, North Central, Deputy National Secretary, amongst others. The report.
The statement added that the South-South states are to provide the National Vice Chairman South-South, National Publicity Secretary, National Women Leader, Deputy National Treasurer, amongst others. However, positions of the National Secretary, National Vice Chairman, National Youth Leader, amongst other party leaders are zoned to the Southwest. The CECPC also approved the zoning of Deputy National Chairman South, National Vice Chairman Southeast, National Treasurer, National Welfare Secretary, amongst other party leaders to the southeastern part of the country. For the northeastern states, They are to produce the Deputy National Chairman, North, National Auditor, National Vice Chairman, Northeast, Deputy National Financial Secretary, amongst others. The Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee also agreed that the Northwest should be given the positions of National Vice Chairman Northwest, National Legal Advisor, National Organizing Secretary, National Financial Secretary, Deputy National Youth Leader, amongst other party leadership positions. The statement also says zonal representatives on the CECPC will now coordinate the process in 8 zones of the Federation.
Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, releases timetable and schedule of activities for the 2023 elections. INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Kaduna, Dr. Asmao Maikudi, addressed a press conference at INEC headquarters in Kaduna. Dr. Maikudi said continuous voter registration exercise put on hold in Birnin Gwari local government area due to security challenges will now resume.
Submission of nomination forms to INEC via the online portal for presidential and National Assembly elections. This is slated for 9 a.m. on Friday, 10th June 2022 to 6 p.m. on Friday, 17th June 2022. Submission of nomination forms to INEC via online nomination portal for governorship and state assembly elections. This is now slated for 9 a.m. on Friday, 1st of June 2022 to 6 p.m. on Friday, 15th July 2022. Commencement of campaigns by political parties for presidential and National Assembly elections. This is on Wednesday, 28th of September 2022. Commencement and campaigns by political parties for governorship and state assembly elections. This is slated for Wednesday, 12 October 2022. The last day of campaign by political parties for presidential and National Assembly elections is on the midnight of Thursday, 23rd of February 2023. Then the last day for campaign by political parties for governorship and state assembly elections is on the midnight of Thursday, 9th of March 2023. As you are all aware, the reason for the non-commencement of the CBR in Birnin Gwari was due to the issue of insecurity in the local government. But with the intervention of security agencies and the commitment and assurance of the stakeholders from the local government, the exercise has been given the green light and it has successfully taken off. The CBR exercise in the local government has been given extra attention with the deployment of additional staff and machines to assist the concluding part of the 3rd quarter and the commencement of the 4th quarter as scheduled in the electoral calendar. The CBR exercise will be transiting to a new level with the introduction of movement of men and materials from one RA to another commencing from yesterday, Tuesday, 8th of March in all the 23 local governments of the state based on a rotation schedule.
Now, as the National Convention of the All Progressives Congress draws closer, the Senate Caucus of the party has expressed concern over the lingering crisis within the party. The party is worried that if something is not done urgently to address the issues, such crisis may affect the party's chances in the 2023 general election. The report.
Longer news that all is not well with the ruling All Progressives Congress, the APC. As part of measures, therefore, to address the crisis rocking the party, APC senators met behind closed doors this Wednesday. Senate Majority Leader Senator Abdullahi Yahya, who spoke with newsmen after the 2 hours closed-door meeting, said they are very worried about the state of affairs within the party. More worrisome to them is the fact that the National Convention of the party is around the corner, just as the clock is ticking towards the 2023 general elections.
We express our concern over the challenges that face the party very, very close to its national convention. And we thought, as very, very important stakeholder in the party. We want to draw attention to everyone involved to come together, to unite, so that we can have successful convention in the party. This is not the time for assigning blames or extending regrets about what we could do. What is happening is about the future of our party and government, and also the capacity of the party to win the elections in 2023.
The Senate Majority Leader debunked media reports in some quarters which alleged that there was leadership change in the party. Recall that the interim chairman of the caretaker committee, Mai Mala Bunu, who doubles as a Yobe State governor, was replaced by Governor Sani Bello of Niger State few days ago, a development which is not going down well with some party members.
And on legal matters now, Ebonyi State Information Commissioner Uchenna Orji said Governor David Umahi and his deputy have filed for stay of execution of Justice Inyang Eko's judgment that removed them from office. Orji, in a telephone interview, said the governor will not allow opposition to rob him of electoral victory through the back door. He said the nomination of Igarue and Udogu by PDP as replacements in view of the judgments is not tenable, as the governor has appealed the judgment.
So he has stayed the execution of that judgment. But like I said, that is for posterity to really judge that April judgment. We have relied on the State High Court judgment that had been delivered on the same subject matter of inspection, and all the issues also determined.
The only reason this matter has gone to court for adjudication is because Umahi refused to do the honorable thing, which is that he ought to have resigned his position as governor. And now that he loves APC, he should recontest that position as APC governor. If he and his new party APC are popular, they will reclaim the bandit.
A Kano State High Court dismisses claim of torture by suspected killer of little girl HANIFA ABUBAKAR, Abdul Malik Tanko, and his co-accused during police investigation. The court admits the accused statements in police first information report as exhibit. Presiding Judge Justice Usman Naaba holds that from the testimonies of prosecution witnesses, it is clear that the accused offered their statements voluntarily. The judge adjourned the case to March 22nd for further hearing.
Because it was a trial within trial, and our contention was right from the word go that the statements were given voluntarily, and we brought in witnesses to confirm that. Most importantly, under cross-examination, both the first and third defendants confirmed that it was their statements. So, of course, the court had every reason to believe that the statements were obtained voluntarily, and is so held in its ruling earlier this morning. And, of course, from there we proceeded, we brought in the other witness, and who also, through him, is a police officer. We tendered the statement of the second defendant, which was also tendered in evidence today. So far so good.
Part of the principle of law that when we go to trial within trial, if the court ruled, we congratulate the court for doing what he did. I have no reservation. It's the process that caused it to be done. And if the court gives its ruling, we congratulate him.
Now, police in Kaduna State say operatives arrest over 200 armed bandits, including the principal suspect in the murder of Air Vice Marshal Umar Maisaka, assassinated in November last year. The police also said that they recovered 18 AK-47 assault rifles, 11 pump-action gun, and 10 locally fabricated pistols from bandits and armed robbers. The report.
According to police spokesman ASP Mohammed Jalige, the principal suspected killer of the late AVM Musa Maisaka and other suspects paraded were arrested through intelligence sharing with police tactical and plain-clothed teams.
Let it be on record that the relentless effort of the command in investigating the culpable homicide case involving late Air Vice Marshal Mohammed Musa Umar Mesaka of number A27 Makarfi Road, Rigasa, Kaduna, who was assassinated on the 8th of November 2021 at the above address has yielded a positive result, with the arrest of the principal suspect, Mohammed Giwa. The said suspect confessed he and his cohorts had extorted at different times and running into millions of naira from the victim on several occasions by threatening to kill him if he fails to meet up to their demands. All these suspects being paraded here are currently in various stages of investigations and will be charged to court on completion.
Jaligay also said 200 bandits were also arrested with 18 AK-47, 11 pump-action gun recovered.
The sum of these approaches resulted in the successes we are showcasing today, with the arrest of over 200 armed bandits, 20 armed robbery suspects, and the recovery of 18 AK-47 rifles, 2,000 live ammunition of different caliber, 11 pump-action rifles, 10 locally fabricated pistols, 140 shotguns, 12-gauge cartridges, 7 motor vehicles of different brands, and 9 motorcycles.
The prime suspect in the assassination of AVM Mesaka and one suspected ally of the notorious bandit Kachala speak.
It is true I am being accused, but I am praying that the real culprit will be exposed. I did not kill him. I did not go to his house. I may have sent the message from my phone, but I didn't know things will turn out this way. I am only praying to God to vindicate me. I didn't kill him. I did not send anyone to kill him, and I don't know who killed him.
The late retired AVM Mesaka was murdered on the 8th November last year.
In a similar vein, police in Katsina State arrest 2 bandits suspected of abduction and killing of Umar Abdullahi Ankalele of Faskari local government area. Those arrested in connection with the killing are Nasiru Muhammad and Abubakar Ilyasu. Abdullahi Amadi tells us more.
The bandits, numbering about 7, armed with AK-47 rifle, stormed the residence of Umar Abdullahi of Dogonhawa village in Faskari local government on the 1st of March 2022, kidnapped and killed the victim when he resisted the attempt to be taken away by the bandits. While parading the suspect, the police public relations officer SP Gambo Isa told journalists that the notorious bandits confessed to have committed the offense.
We succeeded in arresting these 2 guys that you are seeing here with me. Nasiru Muhammad, 27 years, of Faskari. Abubakar Ilyasu, male, age 25 years, of the same town. They are participants criminals. They participated in actual kidnapping and also the murder or culpable homicides or killing of Umar Abdullahi Ankalele.
The notorious bandits' father confessed that 7 of them, under the leadership of one yellow, a notorious bandits kingpin, now at large, attacked the resident of Alhaji Umar Abdullahi. The suspect also mentioned Samaila, Ibrahim, and Sani, all of Yankara and Dajing Ermalamai villages in Faskari local government, as some of their collaborators who are now at large.
Actually, they were the one that went into his residence on that fateful date, and they went with 5 others under the leadership of one notorious bandit called Yellow.
The police, however, told journalists that all efforts are being made to follow the remaining members of the syndicate to their hideout and bring them to justice. The police command also appealed to the good people of Katsina State to be more resilient and summon courage in providing vital information that could lead to the arrest of all criminal elements terrorizing the state. Abdullahi Ismail Ahmadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Over now to the southwest. Officials of Lagos Bus Services Limited, operators of BRT, where late Bambishe was alleged to have been abducted, resumed duties. But officials left hurriedly after a report filtered in that a bus is attacked. The terminals of BRT stations at TBS, Surulere and Fadei areas became empty. Commuters were forced to take alternative vehicles to their destinations due to the incident. Only Primero, a private BRT operator, is seen commuting passengers, but were cautious while working following reports of attack on BRT. Meanwhile, BRT drivers are appealing for security operatives to be drafted to each bus to protect them from aggrieved persons that may want to take action. However, police officers were seen stationed at the entrance of Oshodi BRT terminal following reports of attacks on BRT. Now, firefighters are currently battling to salvage a 3-story building in the Mushin area of Lagos State after a petrol-laden tanker exploded at a nearby filling station. Daily Trust learned that when offloading fuel at the filling station around 1 p.m., the tanker suddenly caught fire and spread to the residential building. The Lagos Territorial Coordinator of the National Emergency Management Agency, Ibrahim Faranloe, however, said no life is lost. Also, the Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service said that the agency had mobilized its officials to the scene to attend to the incident. The agency's director, Adesanya Margaret, said in a statement that a preliminary investigation revealed that a fully laden 33,000-liter tanker involved in the explosion is completely razed down. You're watching the News Hour on Trust Television. Coming up after the break. Water scarcity for irrigation farming. Join us again for details. Welcome back. You are watching the News Hour on Trust Television. Now here's another look at the top stories again. 15 soldiers killed in fresh attack on KEBBI community barely 24 hours after armed bandits killed at least 65 local vigilantes and abducted an undisclosed number of civilians. Plus, Senate on Wednesday rejected President Muhammadu Buhari's request to amend Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act 2022 as senators voted overwhelmingly to stop further amendments. In other news, the Center for Journalism Innovation and Development charges media practitioners to adopt human empathy in reporting gender-based violence. CJID channeled this course through the launch of a gender-based violence reporting handbook, which serves as a guide to journalists and part of measures to reduce indictment of GBV victims. Gender-based violence is one of the many challenges women face in the society today. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu reports.
The event, organized to address media's role of presenting balanced perception and attitude towards reportage of gender issues, premised on demystifying gender-based stereotypes, which has fallen below sensitivity standard as most journalists are unfamiliar with the ethics that guide reporting of gender issues. Speakers at the launch of the gender-based reporting handbook called on journalists to abide with the professional ethics in reporting gender-based violence.
We have a role to play. It's not enough to have a handbook. The most important thing is to use that handbook and to ensure that as reporters, as journalists, as men and women of the media, we first wear our hat of humanity before we report any case. Whether it's male or whether it's female. Let's not be gender blind.
it's also very important that we also in the media, as a press officer, looking at the media in Nigeria, and even the way they report on the attacks on women, children, the vulnerable population that are mostly targeted by attacks, by sexual-based violence. So understanding that this gap needs to be filled, and this book is a very important gap filler in a way.
The keynote address presented by Abiola Akiyode Afolabi highlighted areas where lack of gender equity and women's rights are denied.
We need to applaud Nigerian women, whether they are policymakers, whether they are activists, that have pushed for laws and policies to be passed. One of the things that we are fighting for in front of the National Assembly is also that we should be able to address the gender-based violence that's affecting our life. As we all know, our standing in front of the National Assembly is a very ideological one. It's an attempt by us to push back the misogynists.
And gender equality and women's empowerment is not just the right thing to do, it's also the smart thing to do. The economic and development benefits are clear. Protecting women and girls, investing in their rights, and providing opportunities for them to prosper benefits not only their communities, but the whole country.
Academic and veteran media practitioner also charged journalists to report beyond the story as gatekeepers while adopting the guides embedded in the Gender-Based Violence Reporting Handbook.
When we have a responsibility of not just being gatekeepers, but also agenda setters. The more we report on these, sometimes on this man's inhumanity to man, will give for a national consciousness that will give zero tolerance to it.
The handbook is late in coming due to the milestones that have been lost, but it has nonetheless arrived to fill a huge gap at a crucial time when there is a tsunami of gender-based violence in Nigeria, and the world is relying on the media as forces of change to raise the conscience of the people.
This fantastic reporting book that has been launched. It's a breath of fresh air. It's been long overdue, and we're glad that it's finally here.
Journalists are enjoined to realize that a better informed media creates the right conditions to neutralize gender-based violence and combat it through its publications while taking a committed civic stance. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Irrigation farmers in Kano warn of possible shortage of tomatoes, onions, rice and other food crops owing to the shortage of water for irrigation this term. In this special feature, Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin reports that many irrigation farmers who depend on water from various dams in Kano could not cultivate this year. The report.
Tomato season is here again. Hamza Al-Hassan and several other farmers have been looking forward to this moment. But this year the result is mixed, and more bad news may await, because for nearly 6 months, the water channel for irrigation is blocked, and many of these farmers were left stranded. Well, actually we had a serious problem this year due to the water blockade, which affected the farming process. But for those who have a tube well, they may have a cause to smile because the tomato is fine, but generally there was a problem with the water supply. Honestly, the problem of water for irrigation has been a major issue, and there is the problem of insects that have been disturbing us, and there is no money to make the process very vibrant.
Yanayin halin rashin kuɗi da muke ciki yanzu saboda ya abin da zan iya cewa kenan.
In this part of Kano State, there used to be hundreds of tomato farms harvesting by this time every year. But at the moment, this farm is among the few ones using a tube well to cultivate. They say the problem of water from the dam this year will certainly worsen the price of the products. Onions too is another vital vegetable crop badly affected by the water blockade. Although farmers say the harvest has been good this year, but there is no enough for supply to the markets.
The
problem is that the water has been blocked from the dam, which means it's no longer coming here. And this has been a major problem for us. And we that are here, we don't have enough water to ensure the good tomato is produced. So this is generally the problem that has affected this year's tomato farming. You know, as far as onions is concerned, the water blockade has also affected us because since there is no water, we are unable to produce as much as possible. And there is the problem of fertilizer this year. We have not much money to buy fertilizer, so this has also compounded the problem for us. Relatively, these rice farms are usually green by this time of the year, but farmers could not even clear it after the rainy season harvest, having lost hope for irrigation farming. As far as rice farming is concerned this year, especially on the issue of irrigation, we have a problem. First, number one, we have a problem of seed. The seed that we had this year is not good. That is why we are unable to produce as much rice as possible, because most of the seeds we buy from the market, after you planted it, at the end of the day, you will see the rice has become something else, or it's even spoiled. So that's why this year we don't have as much as we required. And in fact, I can tell you that farmers have incurred a lot of loss as a result of this bad seedling that we got this year.
Well, the
problem of this water blockade is a serious one for us here that we are into rice farming. In fact, there is no even drinking water, and we have contributed money to build a borehole, and there is no water even as at that level. So this problem has kept on going, and you can see all our farms were unable to plant rice for this irrigation farming. And this problem is a major one this year, and it's going to affect the market seriously. Rice farming in this part of Kano State, which should have been an all year round, is increasingly becoming difficult, because according to the farmers here, this water channel is the only source of irrigation they have, which is coming from Tiga Dam, but it has been blocked. The water is no longer running, and therefore this year there is no irrigation farming of rice across this part of Kano State. And this place occupied a significant area where rice is being cultivated all year round. While supply of tomato continue at a low level quantity and rice processing at medium, consumers may have to prepare for the worst, especially as Ramadan fast is around the corner. Idris Jubrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Now, a group of concerned Abuja indigents are threatening to take to the streets if the Nigerian government fails to release the international passport of IMN leader Ibrahim El-Zaki and his wife Zinat. The group, who made the call during a media briefing in Abuja, termed the actions of the government as a violation of the fundamental rights of the IMN leader and his wife to free movement. The group justified its decision, saying that the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, continues to suffer altercations between law enforcement and IMN members, leading to loss of lives of indigents and destruction of critical infrastructures.
El-Zaki and his wife, but the government has not stopped even after they are discharged and acquitted by the Kaduna State High Court in July 2021. The government is illegal denying their international passport, with which they will go abroad for their treatment. This is total violation of the right to freedom of movement and medication as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We urge the federal government to release Sheikh El-Zaki passport, along with his wife, to enable them travel to the hospital of their choice in order to avoid the return to the street protest by his supporters, which turned Abuja from the city it used to be to seemingly a battleground. Failure to release Sheikh El-Zakzaki's and his wife international passport by the Buhari-led administration will push us to the street before his followers.
United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, donates medical drugs worth over $200,000 to the Borno State government. The essential drugs include antimalarials, analgesics, antibiotics, and other equipment. The gesture is meant to help ensure that newborns, children, lactating mothers, and pregnant women receive quality health care. The chief of Maiduguri Field Office of UNICEF said that the intervention is to cushion the effects of insurgency in the northeast, which has contributed to spread of diseases.
Of the child is very much linked to the life and the health condition of the mother. And so for us, we look at that child in a very holistic manner, because a good start to life means good health. And once we have that, and survival is very important for us. So in handing over these essential drugs, we are very hopeful, and we know that the Borno State health authorities now have essential drugs that will go to all the primary health centers. And so this will help mothers, it will help pregnant women, it will help lactating mothers, newborns, and girls and boys under the age of 5 to access basic essential drugs closest health facilities closest in their community.
With all these things, without the drugs and consumables and other equipment, there's no way we can really integrate the primary healthcare services or the primary healthcare centers under one roof. So this is going a long way in assisting the government, because we've procured a lot of drugs for the mothers, and UNICEF have added one of the children to us, which we are very, very happy. And they are sort of reminding us that whenever we are going to make the next procurement, we also have to think along the mothers and the children at the same time. So whenever we are procuring for the mothers, we also have to make provision for the children. So it is very, very great. And I think this is the first presentation I'm getting with so much drugs and other consumables.
Medical experts have urged governments at all levels to key into private and public partnership in promoting financing for family planning and integrated health services as a model for revitalizing Nigeria's healthcare delivery system. The experts give the advice at the 38th Annual Scientific Conference organized by the Association of Public Health Physicians of Nigeria, supported by Development Research and Project Center and funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in Ilorin, Kwara State. The report.
Nigeria ranked 7th in the world population ranking with over 200 million people as at the last national census. The need for family planning is being canvassed by most governments of the world. The Association of Public Health Physicians of Nigeria is meeting in Ilorin, Kwara State on how the government could partner with private sectors to enhance funding of family planning in the country. Some of the panelists highlight the challenges in funding family planning in the country.
As part of the mandate of Association of Public Health Physicians, we are involved in all aspects of health, the funding, the health promotion, the health prevention, and what have you. So we feel that funding for health, if you agree with me, the percentage of the national budget dedicated to health is so small, compared to the dwindling health indices of the populace.
In 2017, to financing family planning for the goal of achieving a 27% modern contraceptive prevalence rate. So far, Nigeria's inability to meet its CPR national objective may be connected to its inability to meet its financial commitment through its annual budgetary allocation and releases for family planning.
Pharmacists Council believes the training being offered its members will go a long way.
The private and public sector is an idea whose time has actually come. And in our discussion so far, we have a lot of evidences on ground about what we have done as a regulatory body, the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, in this direction to ensure the adequate engagement of our private sector healthcare providers.
And you know, there's a saying that when there is no doctor, people will appoint a doctor for themselves. So these are people that are providing services in the community, and over the years we have neglected them. Now we're in a situation right now where we know that the country wants to achieve universal health coverage. And if we're talking about universal health coverage, you want to reach everyone with quality health services, irrespective of their location, their age, you know, their sexual orientation, irrespective of where they are. And we know that government alone can't do that. The public sector alone can't achieve that. Meanwhile, you will always find a PPMV in a community. And the same thing applies to all the healthcare services that will. It's not just for the PPMVs to service old people. Sexual activities take place everywhere.
We should be concerned about policies of the government, particularly policies that concern the Federal Ministry of Health.
Exactly.
Let it be that we have, if it could be the leadership of this association, that should constantly interface with the Federal Ministry of Health to get to know the happenings without having to wait for forums like this, so that you can be a contributor to things that shape and changes the policy direction or environment within the health sector.
The meeting raised questions and recommendations on how to ensure funding for family planning by governments at all levels.
The Federal Executive Council has approved a memo prepared to promote agribusiness in Nigeria through right farm gate pricing and ban on foreigners and their representatives from purchasing agricultural commodities at the farm gate. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Otumba Adebayo, said this on Wednesday while briefing State House reporters after the Federal Cabinet meeting presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the Council chambers of the Presidential Villa in Abuja.
And the representatives from purchasing agricultural commodities at the farm gates. As you're all aware, this memo was necessitated by the need for government to establish an appropriate mechanism that would not only protect our farmers in terms of achieving the right prices for their goods, for their commodities, but also ensure that they have the appropriate incentives and the needed encouragement to guarantee their continued participation in the farming business. Over the years, foreigners have been going to the farm gates and buying produce from the farmers at low prices, thus incentivizing the farmers from continuing with their trade. So we finally got approval from FEC today for only licensed local buying agents who must be registered by the relevant national commodity associations. They are the ones who now will be able to buy goods directly from the farmers for on-selling to the foreigners. This way, the farmers will no longer be cheated by these foreigners who just throw money at them and are able to buy their goods.
Finally, on the foreign scene, Ukraine's president has accused Russian forces of carrying out a direct strike on a hospital complex in Mariupol that reportedly houses maternity and children's wards. President Volodymyr Zelensky has denounced the incident as an atrocity and reiterated a call for Kyiv's allies to impose a no-fly zone over Ukraine. Kyiv has called for an immediate ceasefire around the defunct Chernobyl nuclear power plant amid a power cut at the site. Russia's defense ministry has admitted that some conscripts were deployed to Ukraine days after President Vladimir Putin denied that was the case. All right, let's now join Adeni Ajishafe for the sports update.
World Soccer Governing Body FIFA have listed Moroccan center referee Redouane Djihad for the upcoming Qatar 2022 African World Cup playoff match between Ghana and Nigeria. The first leg match is slated for Cape Coast on 25th March, while Nigeria will stake the reverse fixture 4 days later at Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja, with Tunisian Al Sadiq Al Sami as center referee. French duo Jerome Brizard and Willy Delajorde will act as video assistant referees. Nigeria and Ghana will do battle for one of the 5 slots from Africa. In doping, South Africa's Akani Simbine is devastated at the prospect of losing 4x100-meter gold medal won at World Athletics Relays after his teammate Tando Lolo was banned for doping. Tando ran first leg in the final, tested positive for testosterone at South African Championships in Pretoria few weeks before team success in Chelsea, Poland in 2021. Loliso Lelela and Clarence Munjai are part of the quartet said to be stripped of their gold medal, which means Italy will be promoted to become men's 4x100-meter World Athletics Relays gold medalists, with Japan silver and Denmark bronze. Lolos admits taking banned substances, which reduces his ban from 4 years to 2.5. Sprinter Tando missed out competing at the Olympics after being informed of his positive test on 29 June 2021 and being provisionally suspended by South African Doping Institute for Drug-Free Sport, SAIDS. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we wrap up the News Hour on Trust Television. But you can connect with us via our social media platforms and also subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch us live. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for watching.